All right, stand by. We'll get the coach here in 60 seconds. Okay, I think we're back. So I'm going to let Coach talk quickly about how we handled last night, our transition, and then we'll get to your questions.
Jeez. Lose a game, nobody gets on anymore. What the heck? Bunch of fair weather reporters. What the hell? God dang, go from 64 to 13, 12. I can see who's diehard, who the fair weather ones are. That's for dang sure. Yeah, just a night that was 12 of 30 from the layup department, miss a whole boatload of free throws, shoot 50% at the line, and then have some very, very key mental breakdowns in transition where they made threes or in the half court. And you start just taking those away, and all of a sudden it's a completely different ball game in which we didn't play very well. But again, things happen, and you move on, and now we've got a Nebraska team that lost a very close game last night and is playing exceptionally well. And Teddy Allen went for 41 and made it look easy. So we've got our hands full, that's for sure.
Brad, I'll start. Do you remember a point or a time where it kind of clicked for Trent specifically to go from this scorer on your first team to making that defensive switch to what he is now?
Well, and I think that I'm all about winning. He's always been about that, and if he needed to score, he scored. If he's taken great pride in becoming the best defender in the league. And he's become that guy for us. He's taken a lot of pride and a lot of challenge in taking the other team's best guy and stopping him. And it's utilizing his athletic ability. I say this all the time, pound for pound, he's probably the best athlete on our campus. And taking that and maximizing it. It just wasn't at the offensive end, which he did all through high school, but it's maximizing at the defensive end too, and he's seen the impact. I don't know if there's a specific time, but he's never takes a play off. He never takes practice off. You look back and you look at that young man's maturation, and it's pretty remarkable.
What will you remember most about Trent, DeMonte, and Zach, and kind of getting that buy-in at the start and your vision and running with it?
Well, first of all, you're looking for guys when you take over. You're looking for guys that are about what you're about, as a coach. And it wasn't that we had already had things established. These guys established that. They're as responsible for what our culture is and what it's going to become. And those guys will live longer than they're in the jersey. I mean, they're the guys that said it. And there was a lot of movement. There was a lot of people that had to come and go, but those guys stayed, and those are the guys that were huge factors in us being in a situation we're in now.
Thanks.
Coach, I'm curious about Nebraska. It seems like a different team of late. It seems like you maybe woke them up that Friday night. They beat Penn State. They almost beat them again last night. They played Maryland tough. What do you think has been their improvement the last 5-6 games?
Well, they've been healthy. They were playing very well right before COVID, and they had just gotten Derek Walker eligible. And off his, I think he had a suspension of a semester or something from I don't know what, but and he had just gotten eligible, and he's added a nice piece to them because of his size. He's a terrific interior defender, and I think he played maybe 2 games, and then they get shut down with COVID. So they're just getting their feet underneath them, really, and they're long, they're athletic, and then as the seasons progressed, Teddy Allen's played great, and he's continued to improve. So this is a team that just keeps getting better.
I also have a question about Monte. I remember back your first season, even the exhibition game against Eastern Illinois, you pointed out Monte and talked about why you wanted to start him, and that you saw things in him that we were all going to see over the next 4 years. What's it been like for you to see that maturation from him?
Yeah, it's awesome. And I mean, here comes a kid that, and I mean this in a really good way. I mean, he was fat, coming off a knee surgery and a knee rehabilitation, and the before and after pictures after just a year with him were remarkable. Here's a guy that has grown off the court as much as on the court. Here's a guy that was a unanimous selection to be one of our team captains. And that's the ultimate respect when your teammates vote you that, and your coaches, and great personality. He's got a dynamic personality. People are drawn to him, and it's been an honor to coach he and Trent and Zach, and that's the ultimate respect. Demario got it from his teammates.
Thanks.
Brad, a lot of folks will at the end of the season, look back, how far did that team go? And that's obviously a measuring stick of a season, but is there something else to you that makes a season special and how you'll look back on this? I know we're not even close to the end of it, but you're in the midst of something that Illinois hasn't had in a long time in this kind of season.
I'm sure there'll be a time for that, Scott. I don't, it blew me away the other day when Derek told me that, it was only the fourth time in 65 years that an Illinois team has been ranked in the top 5 in February. And that shocked me, because I think this program is elite. And that shocked me to know that. I don't look at it that way. I look at it so very narrow-minded right now. It's just the next game. And I imagine we'll look back. I'm really proud of where this group of seniors has gotten us. I'm really proud of the maturation in 4 years. And that's solely responsible to Trent and Zima and Demonte and Tyler's back for his 12th year or whatever it is. It's one of those deals that you're really proud of those kids, because they're reflective of what you've been teaching and you've been and for the most part preaching. So it's all there's time to reflect. Now's not it.
Fair enough. I recognize we're in the midst of, one after the other games here, and then, but February and the team playing well, team maybe peaking. Some have commented that, that's a hallmark of your teams, that you're playing the best in February and into March. Do you feel that way as you look back on your teams, or is that a product of, everybody gets better as they go along?
Not everybody gets better now. You see tailspins every year. So I mean, it's one thing that, I think we try to figure things out early, and it's there, you might get beat, you might lose a game or two or whatever, but you've got to grow. And, I look back at the Baylor game and see how far we've come. And it's like, whoa, we're a completely different animal now. But it's what we strive to do, is to be playing our best and to be our best as we head towards the tail end of the season. It's my goal is to be as healthy and as COVID free in this season as we can be, going into postseason and capable to try to make a run.
Thanks.
Hey, Brad, Zach mentioned a practice last year where he was on the scout team before Wisconsin. He was playing as Nate Reavers, and he said he couldn't miss a shot. Do you remember that practice or any other plays where, what was that like?
There's nothing like being somebody else in practice and the coach tells you to shoot every shot when you're open, and it's just like you just free up and you get going. And Zach's a heck of a shooter, and I mean, when he gets it going, he's a hard guard. And he was jump hooking it that day. He was shooting threes, and then of course that just got me, all revved up and on the first group, and and then that got him going even more and talking. And Tyler and Zima talk more trash in on the scout team than anybody else. So those guys get going and they love to heckle the first group. So yeah, I remember that a lot. He's Zach's a good player.
And then what was kind of the process like of offering him a scholarship, and how happy are you that you eventually did that? Or not scholarship, a spot on the team.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that you want passion, you want guys that want to be a part of it. And man, when they fit your culture, I mean, you're talking about a guy that almost every day when I get up in the morning and then go have a cup of coffee, or I walk down in the lobby of a hotel, Zach's down there reading or he's studying. We walk in for testing every morning and he's got a book open and he's studying. That guy's about everything that we want to be about. And he's a straight A student. He's a guy that takes his time in the weight room extremely serious, and he's a health nut. He's vocal. Everybody likes him, and it's just it's a match made in heaven. I mean, for us and for him, I hope, and he'll always be part of the Illini family and a big part of it.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, Brad. Throughout DeMonte's career, he's always talked about as a guy who's really funny and charismatic. He doesn't always show that as much with the media and stuff. So I was just wondering,
He doesn't like you guys very much. That's why.
I understand why. I wouldn't like us very much either. But we appreciate you talking to us. What do we not see? What does DeMonte do to get people to say things like that about him?
I think he's guarded until you really get to know him, and you get to see that, and he's got quick wit. He's very, very funny. He's got a quiet, soft humor that he just doesn't let everybody in. And it takes a little while. You got to prod him with it sometimes, and yet I still go back to the first practice, I told him he could pack all of his stuff and head back to Peoria, as he was laying on the floor because he was so desperately out of shape, and he was puking in a trash can. And we still laugh about that now. And, we talk about his days at Manual all the time, and we kid and have fun. And, you've got to get to know him. You got to get to know what he's about. And then you see all that charm and that charisma.
Absolutely. As a guy who is very knowledgeable with Illinois' history as a program, DeMonte he kind of revived the Peoria pipeline, so to speak, of players coming in and really featuring and being a big part of Illinois teams. And now it kind of continues in a way with Adam Miller. What do you think that means? Does that mean something for this program with the history it has there?
Well, I think, Peoria's, when Peoria's got very good players, I mean, there has been a natural pipeline to Illinois. We want that to continue. I think that, DeMonte was the next in line in terms of his talent, in terms of his ability to play in the Big Ten. And obviously, we want to keep the best players in state, and DeMonte was that. Had a great chance to be Mr. Basketball had he not ACL'd. But again, it's just a great tradition that we've seen here at the University of Illinois come from Peoria and have success in this program, and we hope that continues.
Thanks, Brad.
Hey, Brad. With this idea of no hesitation, Trent, were there any conversations, I don't know, in the last month where, with him, it's like, keep playing defense like you do, but it's okay to tap back into that offensive skill set?
Yeah, I mean, we've not had any conversations. We just scream at him every time he turns down a shot. I mean, it's literally, it's one of those that the fine line. Trent walks the fine line between wanting to be an unbelievable teammate, knowing that he can drive it, knowing that he can be a setup guy, and yet knowing that he's one of the most capable scorers in this league. And he fights that within himself sometime. I, as a coach, want him to shoot the doggone ball every single time he's open, because we've all seen those heaters and those burners that he can get on, and yet he's such a great teammate, and I respect the heck out of that.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, thanks for doing this, especially on short notice.
I love you guys so much.
We love you too, Coach. Thank you for being so good with us. When you think back on the struggles that this senior class had when they were freshmen and sophomores, and even some of the growing pains, I guess, they maybe went through last year, do you think that makes the success that they've had along with you that much more appreciative of it this season?
I hope so, because that's life. Nothing comes easy. I mean, we all know that as adults, and having gone through it. I mean, your journey is filled with struggles, and very seldom, I hope they can take life's lessons from what they learned the first 2 years and understand that they're better people than they are because they went through those struggles, because they had a coach who demanded more from them, because they had a coach who expected more from them, because they had a coach who wanted them to become great, and even when it wasn't easy, and demanded that they become great, and not settle for anything less. And I hope those are all things that as they get down the road of life, they look back on and say, doggone it, he was demanding, but man, did it help me, because now I can handle this situation. And now that we're winning games, obviously you want them to understand that great things can happen, but obviously they may not happen when you want them to happen. And that's the way this thing works sometimes. And man, I couldn't be prouder of this group of guys.
And then a follow-up. I don't know if you have an answer to this, but I think it's pretty clear that Iowa probably plans to forego his senior season. Are there any plans or anything in the work to maybe celebrate him tomorrow with it being senior night and potentially his last game in Champaign?
Well, I think those are all things that and I'll say this on Io's behalf, and I'll be honest, I haven't had a conversation with him about it. Io needs to go to the draft. Io needs to go. There's nothing else he's going to accomplish in college basketball that I'm going to do for him. I mean, he's turned himself into that guy. So, it's those decisions obviously become their family, but Io's had an unbelievable year. He's a National Player of the Year, in my opinion, and it's one of those deals that he's he'll make the decision that's based on him. But in my opinion, he needs to go.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it.
Hey, Brad, the way Trent and Demonte, they kind of play off of each other in terms of their humor. I mean, they had each other giggling and kind of cracking up here. What's the trickle down effect when you have your two senior leaders who play off of each other like that so well? And it seems like they have an ability to lighten the mood when it needs lightened, or kind of keep things going that way.
Well, that's the best part of this team, Joey, is this team smiles. This team has fun. This team knows how to enjoy themselves and they grow up. And if when you've been through the battles like those guys are, you learn to laugh certain things off, and you learn to understand how things get handled, and okay, coach said this or that, or this happens, and that's beautiful. That's fun. That's true. That's a true friendship. That's family. That's everything that we strive for, is to be able to create laughter and yet, it's almost that brotherhood that you see, two brothers that fight, two brothers that laugh, two brothers that wrestle together, whatever it is. And that's what that is.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it.
Last one is Tyler coming back for a 13th season.
His mother would love for him to. His father thinks that he needs to go draw a damn paycheck and get the hell off my payroll. But no, he's finishing up his second master's degree in the School of Business. And as I think it'll probably be time for Tyler to go start his future endeavors in the world of basketball. I think that's what he's heading into at this point in his life. But again, a lot of true blessings there to be able to have him around for as long as I've been able to have him around in coaching.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, it's 4:00, so we have to wrap up. Just a quick note for the media. The senior ceremony we'll stream that